catch me middle of the afternoon. It's a work day. I've got a couple of gaps between calls, and I want to disengage myself from the pressure of high flying audio. And I put the gearbox together. I've shimmed it and tested it all. Put the new, let me see if I can pick it up. There we go. All the ratios are in, no pun intended. New cam plates in, new shifter fork, which is all per the latest service sheet. It's resting on the kickstart piece underneath. All the shims are in and correct. This is going to go into the high-speed the main shaft gear that's already in the engine case that I push through. I might as well actually just take it off and push it on here so it's all engaged and good, so I don't get any problems engaging it when I put it in the engine case. All that's left to do now really is get some time to offer it up, make sure it goes in. Then I've got to run the gasket sealant all around the case, on the middle web as well only, and then put the O-ring in here. I'll turn this around, the O-ring in there, which is the oil feed for the crank end for the lubrication, which is a very important piece. Put the oil seal in, locking ring on it, or circlip as it's known in other parts of the world, and that's it. Should all be ready to go. I would have videoed it, but it would have been the dullest thing in the world watching me fiddle around with gears. So that's that. Next thing will be pushing it into the engine case, which I hope to do this weekend. And if I get the gearbox on, all buttoned up, that'll be a wonderful day. Right, thanks very much. Alrighty, so today is the big day. I've done a dry fit of the gearbox. I've put everything in, I checked it out, I've made sure the clearances are okay. You saw me checking the clearances the other day by putting the gearbox in and doing everything. I've assembled the gearbox components on the inner case, exhibit B. The next thing to do is run a thin bead of Yama bond all the way around the surfaces that require it. I need a little dollop of grease and this little guy to put the O-ring in, and then it's stand this up the right way round and offer this up, wiggle it into place, and then tighten it down with the correct bolts, and we should be good. That should be it. So that's what we're going to do today. I did check out the gearbox shifting. It shifts in all gears, which is something Mr. Ratio recommends you do. It seems to change gear correctly. The detent spring and everything is in place. Everything's lubricated, ready to go. So I've just got to do it. I'll pause, prepare the gasket sealant, and then probably turn the video on for the very last bit. Then I'll turn it off, flip the engine over, offer this up, and hopefully there's no swearing. Okay, so I've done half the case. I'm now going to do the other half. I can't do it without getting my hands in the way, so I'm sorry. There we go. So that's the gasket goop on. I will take the nozzle off, put the cap back on. Come on, there we go. There we go. Probably the best thing I could buy was, or I've bought so far in this project, is reuse a 4-pack of empty nozzles for the gasket sealant. So that was a really good purchase. Now, there's other things I've bought, of course, that were really good, but that seems to be a particularly good one. Right, next thing I'm going to do is flip the engine over and out of the box. So I'll spin this round And then we will move that out the way. Put that there. Be careful where I put everything, because believe it or not, this is my office. And let's get it's nice working in a cramped area with absolutely no free workspace. Such a well planned, thought out thing. Right, so let's do that. Right, bear with me. So, slight wrinkle in the plans. The O-ring I got in the kit didn't fit, but thankfully, to a gift from my father many years ago, a box of Imperial O-rings, I was happy to find that O-ring number 008 actually fits. So I can put the high pressure oil feed in with an O-ring, which is good. So now we're going to try and put this on and not drop anything and not swear too much. So here goes everything. That's so lovely and close. Let's take the persuader. And yeah, alrighty, success. I'm sure you appreciate the gentle use of the persuading tools, put it all together. And then, hopefully, because we prepared a little bit, hopefully I've bought the right things, because it'd be funny if the screws aren't the right set, but yeah, make sure these are the Imperial ones, which they are. Nope. Okay, buddy. Let's see. That's it. Good pull. Just like. Okay. Hurrah! So that's pretty exciting. Put the tools away. Man, I've been sort of dreading doing that because I thought it was going to take a really, really long time, but it just goes to show with the correct prep and doing things, everything works out fine. So now I'm just going to wipe around the gasket surface and try and get as much excess gasket goo off as I can. Just because I don't want it to look like it did when we first got it, which was gasket goo bloody everywhere. Yeah, there we go. Hallelujah. And just to give you a better look, I don't know if you can see that or not, I've got too much stuff on the desk, but there's the inner cover. Kickstart, gear shift, and the main drive side. So now on the other side we just need to put the nut on this, pull up on that side with the clutch and everything. That'll take the play out, and everything should be lovely. Alright, BSA fans, you join me here with my engine on its side, and I'm just about to put the sump doohickey on the screen. What I'd noticed, if I may zoom in, is that there's only one stud left, and I thought it was pretty good, but they were all pretty ropey. So I've got new studs. I'm going to pull this one out with a mole wrench, put new studs in with a bit of what am I going to say, Loctite, just to keep the studs in. Put them in, 2 nuts, wind them on. Job will be good. Put the gasket, the screen, the gasket, and then my nicely sorted out faceplate or sump plate that goes on, and that will be that. So that's what I'm doing right this second. You can see where not too bad, with not too much gasket goo around there. That's pretty good. This is on. We'll be checking this out. I'm not sure that's the right washer when I get to it. It's only on finger tight at the moment. I need to lock it, so I'll put the kickstart on, hold it in place, then wind it up holding the kickstart to lock it, then pin over the tabs. They're pretty rough. I'm pretty sure I ordered a new lock washer, so I'll go through my box of bits and look at that. And then the last thing we're going to put on is this guy, which is the oil feed. I need to dig out the O-rings, put new O-rings in, and then this little puppy slides on there and is held on by a nice lock nut, which happens to match the nuts on the con rod. So I'm going to use one of those. I've got one of those spare. So that's what we're doing. Alrighty, so we've got a stud. It's course fine. Course goes into the aluminum case. Just put a little bit of thread lock on. Put the top on. I've done the other 3, so this is the last one to go on. And of course you can't see because my hand's in the bloody way. I'm going to screw that on, and it is bloody cold, so hence the gloves. And I'm going to use 2 nuts to put the stud in. So let's wind that on a bit. Yeah, you really can't see anything, can you? So my hand's in the way, so put the second nut on. Lock those 2 together. These are my trusty Baco adjustable that I've had for, man, I don't know how many years. I was a teenager when I got it, and I'm 60 this year, so you can figure that out. tighten that in. There we go, that's tight. And then back off the nuts. If I can get that one on. And then these guys should come off together. Well, there's one anyway. What's the last one being a donk? There we go. Wipe off the excess thread cleaner, thread locker stuff, and pick it up. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 starts. That's the pickup valve. I'll let that set for a bit. Put a gasket on, then the screen, then another gasket, and then the end. And then I've got carefully laid out on my workbench 4 new nuts and 4 stainless washers. So then I can pinch that all up. So there's the gasket, screen. You can just see the screen here, this metal thing. More gasket, a little bit of grease on it, and then I'm going to put on the cover and then do it up. You don't need to see me do up nuts and bolts, so that's going to be it for putting the sump and the strainer on. Alrighty, let's see. It's a sunny Friday. It's let's just see what's on this. It's 2:34. I've given up work for the day, and I've been doing some stuff. So stuff that I haven't videoed. An oil tank. I finally flushed that out for the 7th time. I think it was yesterday afternoon. Actually got the gasoline I've been putting in there to run out clear. It also released a washer. So I've had dipstick, 2 self-tapping screws, and now a washer come out of this. I am confident there is nothing left in it now. It's absolutely clear. I'm on the hunt for some washers to go on the eye. I've ordered those. You can see there's a little bend on it. I may have to straighten this or kink it back the other way because of my fancy exhaust. Or the alternative is to put it on like that, I guess, but I don't think that'll work. I think it probably has to go. Actually, it goes that way, doesn't it? So maybe it would work that way. Yeah, maybe I'll do it like that. Anyway, we shall see. We shall see. So that's done. The other thing that I've done, let me go to the exhaust. So this is the peanut silencer that came off my B44 exhaust I bought off eBay. It had a hole there that was plugged. It also was absolutely see-through. You could look all the way through it. Now it has some perforated tube with a blank on the end. Was put in here. It's about that long with a blank end, and I don't know if you can just see it. It's just in there, and it's held in with a little weld on the end. I'm not really geared to weld stainless, so the plug end on this could be a little tenuous, but this is what I've got on my T140 for silencing. It seems to do pretty well, and that's a 750 twin. This is a 250 single, so that should be all right. The other thing that I've done is, you can see we've got the engine in the frame. Gearbox is on. This is all bolted. I haven't done the bottom bolt yet. I'm going to put that in. Next thing I've got to do is put the sprocket on, the nut, the washer, and then the felt washer on the end. Everything's nice and tight. I've been through the gearbox. The gearbox works well. Once that's on, I can put the plate on with the oil seal. Then I can build the clutch in the primary, and then we can get on with things. Starting to come together actually pretty quickly, which is nice. I've then got to figure out where I'm going to put my oil filter. I think that's going to go about there. At least I hope I can put it there. The alternative is to put a real small battery in here, modify this, and mount it in here, which it could work, but I'm not sure. Then the piping would have to come up and go up through. It depends on the battery, and where it goes with the oil. Sorry, I'm holding that up to a weird angle. Where that goes with the oil tank that sits in here. So really ought to get the oil tank back in as well. I'm going to work on the sprocket today. Put that on. I've got a new front sprocket. I noticed that the rear brake arm is very stiff on the brake here, so that's all got to come off. Take that off and clean it up. Get the back wheel out. That should be fairly easy to do. And I may even polish the chrome of the rims actually, which is be a brave statement for me because I don't normally like polished chrome. Oh, my knees. That was my knees that you heard creaking. On the subject of the exhaust, this is the exhaust that I plan on putting on. I've scuffed it up with Scotch-Brite pads, so it's got a nice satiny look that I really like. And then you saw the scooter switchgear and stuff, and there's the rack and everything for the camping weekend and my Venel cable kit. And obviously the gas tank. That'd be good if I did that. That would be awful. So that's where we are. That's what I'm going to do. I'm excited to get the sprocket on, because then once I've done that, I can then think about building the clutch up, and I've freed up space, or will have freed up space on the desk, on the table, to allow me to build the clutch on the surface plate and all that wonderful stuff. So that's what I've done, and I'll turn the camera back on when I start to do anything interesting. Alrighty, thanks. Well, exciting times. Of course, I haven't got a knife. What's on that? Just see if I can. Oh, it's a bad blade, actually. Oh, I've got it somewhere. This isn't what you signed up for. That's like a pretty good blade. We'll put that one on. You didn't sign up to watch me put a new blade in a box cutter. What we were interested in was this package, this exciting package that the mailman has delivered to me. With all the excitement of the wonderful stuff, and I'm not trying to promote it. That's it, to show you the logo. Oh, Van Hills. So Van Hills is a company in the UK that makes brake components, cables and hoses, and more importantly, sells you all the stuff to make your own. So I have an exciting bag of, oh look at that, even my roadside cable repair kit, that's going to be a must. And then I've got kits for brake, clutch, all the stuff I need to make my own cables, because my cable's going to be slightly too long. And it's got sleeves and nipples and all the really excellent stuff. And I've gone for the big cables. This is the Teflon lined outer cable, so that's really good. And then this little kit is a roadside cable repair kit for screw and nipples, which will be, I think, really useful for me to have during our $1,000 bike challenge. So something else I can make is I can make my brake and clutch cables, which is really good. So that's exciting. That's really exciting. I've been hoping that these were going to come. Trying to think when I ordered them. I want to say I ordered them like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm waiting for a part from the UK. And at the time, I'm like, do I order this from the UK? Because it'll get there. It'll get here in about 2 weeks. I thought, nah, the US should be all right. The US website said they had everything. And then literally after I'd ordered it, I got an email. There's one thing that you're missing, which I honestly think is this, which is kind of important. We need to order it from the UK. And I'm like, shit. Anyway, there we go. So I've got all the stuff to make my clutch and brake cables, which is very exciting to me. And the other thing I've got to do is make a throttle cable, of course. But I keep pushing the bike around and can't get it in the bag. I keep grabbing the front brake and it traps my fingers against the handlebars because I haven't got a front brake cable. Yeah, that's not going back in there. Right. So I will get back to the Sprocket, which is the thing I started about. But exciting times. So there's probably not much to show you, but when I get to making the cables, which could be shortly, I'll turn the camera on. Alrighty, so I've sort of moved on a bit. I've got the sprocket on, I've got the nut on, I've pinged this over. I've tightened the nut up really tightly using my favourite tool, which would be that really big adjustable spanner. I also jammed the sprocket in place with a screwdriver against the tooth, up against the case, and just pinged it. And I know it's tight because there's no shaft movement. I've also got this felt washer in the right place. And now, what goes over this with a gasket is this thing. Which goes over there, and then that will allow me to complete the primary. Obviously there's a gasket to go in there, so I'll put the gasket in, do the screws up, and then we can start assembling on the clutch hub, put the generator in place. I've got an oil seal to go in here actually. I shouldn't forget that. That should probably go on next before I get too carried away with this. But we'll grease the gasket up, screw that on, put the oil seal in, and then we'll offer up the next couple of bits. That's it. I've put the chain on purely because it's easier to thread it round and do it like that, and I need to get rid of this bloody thing because it's annoying me. And it's only a case of I'm doing that, but will I do it? Nah, I'll just keep complaining about it. So that's what I've done. I want to make sure I don't lose that, so let's just leave that there for now, so I can knock it off later. And that yipping sound is my daughter's dog.